listening to the Punisher Waterfowls, the Union 0430 podcast. Brought to you by Real Geese Decoys, the most technological advanced silhouette decoys on the market. And Vortex Canada, the force of optics.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Union 0430, episode 121. Yep, we're still counting, and we're going to keep counting, so suck it if you don't like it. That's just the way it friggin' rolls around here, all right? So episode 121, got a couple good lads on with us from Southern Ontario tonight. Couple good friends that have been hunting with us a couple times now, and got to hang out and have a couple pops with a couple times. So I thought, you know what? Let's bring them on where they can bring us back down with our heads out of the clouds and level us out a little bit. So we've got Trevor Davidson coming to us from Hagersville, Ontario, and Mitch, where are you?
Stony Creek.
Oh,
on the border of Stony Creek, Hamilton, but I tell everyone Stony Creek. It sounds better.
Yeah. The home of 40 Creek, right? Is Stony Creek? Yeah.
I'm about 10 minutes from there.
Yeah, so home of 40 Creek whiskey. And then, of course, we've got Mark coming to us from his new home in Nova Scotia. Ryan is probably, who knows what Ryan's doing. If it's not building a patio or chasing birds, he's hanging out with his son, or God knows what he's doing. And Dave is doing another podcast with New Canoe, so he won't be on with us tonight. So unfortunately for all of you millions and millions of listeners, you've got just the four of us tonight. So it should be a pretty good laugh. And in case anybody's wondering, I've cracked into a bottle of black rum, and there's usually no good that comes out of that. So we'll get on with it. First off, fellas, thanks so much for coming on. I know I asked you the other night or there last week, and you were like, well, what is it? What's it about? What are we going to talk about? And I'm like, I don't know what we're going to talk about. We'll just shoot the shit and see where it goes. We'll be all over the place. There'll be a few tangents, I'm sure. And but it'll be entertaining, no doubt. And Absolutely. For those that are listening and not watching, you need to see Merck's shirt, because it is one of the best shirts you'll ever see. On it, it says, "I love seals roasted with gravy."
Yes, bye.
Suck it, Greenpeace. I seen a thing today. It was on Instagram or something, and it was a post from PETA, and it was something about the animal can't talk, and you chose to take its life. Please stop hunting. And this lady writes back, and she goes, "I want to thank you, PETA, for bringing to my attention just how cruel these farms are, and these places where they're raising chickens and all of this stuff." So after I had seen you make this post, PETA, I made the conscious decision that I'm going to source my own food for my family. And so I'm a hunter because of you, PETA. So suck it. I thought it was good. And whoever it was that posted it said, best response ever. And I don't think you could get a better response than that, just to throw it right back in their face that, hey, listen, you are the reason why I'm a hunter, because you have shown me some of the cruelties and realities of what's going on in these farms and stuff like that. So it's awesome. It's good.
The caveat to all that is the majority of farms are not cruel.
No. Absolutely. No, that's right. The majority of them is not cruel, but even still, 90% of the ones that's operating, people are oblivious to how these operations actually conduct business day in and day out, right? Like it's like the magical fucking fairy drops off food to the grocery store, and you just go out and you pick up your meat and that's it, right? So
exactly.
That's like a post my aunt sent me. It was a deer getting interviewed, and it says, "I think we got a pretty good chance this season. The average hunter is getting older, and millennials think meat comes from stores." So, yeah,
That's good. I like
I'm-
that.
yeah.
I mean, God bless her heart, but that's what I say to my mom every time. She says, "How can you do that to those poor birds?" I said, "Don't worry, Mom. You just keep getting your meat made in the supermarket.
Yeah,
You'll be
yeah,
fine."
yeah, absolutely. But Trisha's the same way. So first off, I got to back up. Mark, you know about the deer that's been on my property that I've been keeping an eye on for 2 years, and this year I was like, you know what, I'm probably going to get them this year. Anyways, fella down the road got them on Tuesday. Beautiful, just beautiful, beautiful animal. Anyways, Trisha's tickled pink because now I don't have to go get. Now I'm not going to go shoot the deer, but Trisha's my wife. She's not. She doesn't think that, you know, there's a magical fairy that drops meat off to the supermarket. But she's got this in her head that she doesn't want us harvesting meat on our property, which I'm like, that's why I bought the property. So I didn't have to go somewhere else to harvest meat. And
Gas money.
yeah, and she's like, well, I didn't know that. And I'm like, why do you think I'm buying apples? Why do you? So when Mark left and moved to Nova Scotia, he showed up here one day, a couple weeks before he left, and dropped off 2 deer stands, and they're just out by the garage. And my wife comes by one day and she was like, what's that down by the garage? I was like, oh, nothing, don't worry about it. And she was like, no, seriously, what is it? And I was like, it's tree stands. You know, it gives me the look like, why do you want tree stands? And I'm like, you don't want to know. Of course. Yeah, it's for standing in a tree. Yeah. Anyways, I digress. Anyways, I'm not going to get my deer, and haven't had any geese in my on my property in over a week. Not one.
Oh, you haven't had to push a birds through then,
No.
and you shot all the other ones out of there.
Well, no, I didn't shoot them all out of there because I'm going to say it was on a Tuesday night. No, it was a Wednesday night. Jason Sear and I went in and we took out 10. The next night was Thursday. I had done the show. But before I come into the garage to start everything up, I'm going to say there was a good 150, 175 birds in there. But then as I'm doing the show, it's just piling in. I can hear them flying over, right? And it's piling in. The next morning, they were gone, and they haven't been back since. So we lost them. I think we're starting to see a few birds now. Nothing crazy to get excited about, but I do think birds are starting to pile in. But the weather that I read today is saying that Southern Ontario is still in for these temperatures for another week and a half.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know,
yeah.
right.
We were like what, 20 degrees today? Like something
we
like
were
that.
18. We were 18 here today. So
Crazy.
So for our American friends, that's around 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's just not conducive to good bird hunting. I was talking to a friend in Wisconsin, and he was saying that he was hunting in a grinder jacket. That was all he was wearing. He said he's never done that in Wisconsin before. And I said, yeah, it's the same here in Ontario, man. And his response was, everybody else in North America is loving these warm temperatures except waterfowl hunters. We're the only ones that are pissed about the warm temperatures.
Yeah. Same down here.
Is it?
It's 20, 22. That's next 4 days.
Wow.
Then it drops down to 9 and 10 for a couple days, and then warming back up mid-teens again. And that's over the next 10 days.
Wow.
I think in the next 5 days for me, it looks like Tuesday is going to be the coldest, and that's 8 degrees. 21, wow. 17, 15, 8. And today was 18, 20 degrees. Yeah. It's crazy.
And same with you, Trev?
Yeah, we're basically identical weather.
But then what I read today is that they're saying the second half of November we should be getting much more colder temperatures. So
Not there yet.
Yeah, well, and it is meteorologist, right? The best job in the world. You can be wrong every fucking day and not get fired. You know, like amazing. What amazing job. Fuck, I should have been a meteorologist.
Yeah.
A lot less stress.
So
that's for sure.
At my in Petawawa when I was there, we had this person there. We called him the weather witch, and every now and again you look outside what we call the bubble where we used to service aircraft, and they'd be standing out looking at the sky.
Really?
And I'm looking out there and it's like, I don't see a cloud anywhere, it's just blue. And they're there for a good 20 minutes.
Really?
Staring at the sky. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, what
looking at the weather patterns.
Looking at the weather patterns.
It's blue.
No clouds, nothing to judge, nothing on, just a bluebird day. Wow.
Yeah, 20 minutes. Okay. They got paid for that. I mean, they get paid all day long, but they got paid to do that too.
Yeah, fair. I did want to touch on this because it's really exciting news. Well, exciting for Punisher Waterfowl. I'm not sure how exciting it is for everybody else in the world, but it's pretty exciting for us. That last night, so Wednesday, the 2nd of November, the Toronto Sportsman Show finally dropped a promotional video for the refuge that Punisher Waterfowl's bringing to the Toronto Sportsman Show. I'm not getting into who's coming with us because I'm going to let them make that announcement on their own. That should be coming within the next couple weeks. They'll start chiming in on who's coming and what they're bringing and all that good stuff. So, Mitch, I know, and Trev, you were at the show last year too, weren't you? I know Mitch was.
Yep. I won a dozen decoys off you guys.
Yeah, you did.
For Phil's 18.5-foot boat.
Right.
That was the answer.
But
legendary boat.
What'd you say?
The legendary boat.
Wow. Did you listen to last week's episode?
Yeah.
Did you hear?
Like, I was gonna text him. Six gallon bucket, 18. He's compensating for something.
Yeah. Did you listen to it, Mark?
Say it.
No.
Did you? No. So we're talking about the Yeti buckets and stuff like this, right? Ryan has a Yeti bucket. I've got a Yeti bucket now, and we're saying like they're just regular. They're not just regular 5-gallon buckets. They're a little bit tougher than that, but at the end of the day, it's a 5-gallon bucket, right? And Phil's like, well, I got a bucket too, but it's a 6-gallon bucket. And of course, oh yeah. 18.5-foot boat, 6-gallon bucket. What else? Yeah. Fucking camera lens is bigger than everybody else's. God love him.
20.
And he shoots a 20 gauge.
Shoots 20.
Him and Dave were shooting a 28.
28 now.
Yeah.
28 now. I witnessed it. It works.
But I don't think he shoots much of the 28. I think I think 20 is his gig. And he'll go down to the 28. But I told him, I'm like, the 28 is the 6.5 Creedmoor of shotguns. And I don't think he liked that too much. But
no. But for anyone doubting the 28 gauge, I witnessed it. 30 yards, one shot, down to like a pea shooter, but it dropped a goose.
Yeah.
Like easily.
Yeah. There's always that magic pellet.
Oh yeah.
There's always that magic pellet. Well, I tell you, you seen it, Mitch, when we were at the Goose camp down with Logan and Phil Savvy. What are you shooting, Trev? Are you shooting a 12 or a 20? 12. Buddy, one of the nicest shots I had ever fucking seen. We dump on a flock of geese, and one we hit it. It goes down, but it's still standing up. I send Lander. And of course, as soon as Lander breaks out of the corn, this goose starts to fly away. So I walk like this is all happening simultaneous, right? I'm coming out of the corn with Lander. Lander's leaving. The goose starts to get up and fly away. Trev comes from my right, puts his hand across my chest and says, "Get back," pushes me back into the corn. This goose is flying. And then all I hear is boom, Trev's shot, and the goose is in the fucking corn. Like it flew into the corn, into the stalks. And I'm like, there's no fucking way he hit that goose. There's no way he had enough time. Sure shit. We sent Lander down. Him and Lander went down and fucking got the goose. So it was a real nice shot.
Thank you. That was
He's usually our cleanup crew when we all hunt.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So what's happening down in your area there right now? So like you guys are down in Southern Ontario. So, like Niagara, Buffalo, New York, that's the kind of area where you guys are. What are you guys seeing down there? Are you seeing any birds, or like did everything push out and now we're waiting for that new push of birds to come in?
Yeah. So once all this weather started not happening, a lot of the birds kind of fucked off, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of our beans and corn weren't cut yet right away, right? Like we're just starting to get the rest of the beans done now.
Okay.
Well, a lot of corn's still standing right now.
Really?
And yeah, we're starting to get some more birds, but it's not where it needs to be yet.
Oh, I don't think we've got any crop right now.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm pretty sure everything is off right now. Like there might be a little bit of corn kicking around for some silage, but like beans are all gone.
Yep.
Yeah, not by us. Like I posted on Instagram last week, and I took my son out scouting. He wanted to go try to find a spot to go hunt, and hopefully we were going to ask for permission. Didn't get a chance to, but I'm driving around going, there's still corn, there's still beans, there's still beans,
wow.
and he's going, where's the geese? Where's the geese? And we drove by the river, which isn't too far from Trev, and I've seen the geese there, and it's like, okay, but it's all private property where I got to come through. And the usual spot I hunt is got a lot of public hunters and sky blasters, if you want to call them that.
Yeah.
They take the nice 150 yard shot.
Big time.
To drop a goose. And so it's tough. But today, I work about a half an hour from my house and out towards Oakville, Toronto area. And there's a pond just behind all these houses, and it's like filled with geese. But for the last week, they've just field, pond, field.
That could be resident. That could be resident birds too, eh, Mitch?
And that's all it is. That's literally all I've seen.
Yeah. Mark, down where you guys are, because I know now, like over the last few years, I shouldn't say few, maybe the last couple years, you're starting to see a lot more geese than historically what you had seen down the road. It's usually always good for ducks, but geese seem to be piling in there pretty good now. I know you guys, actually, that's really good. Talk about that hunt you guys did this week, and if you don't mind, because I fucking would have paid a lot of money to been able to come down and be part of that hunt.
I mean, this hunt?
That's the one right there.
Awesome.
So Nate the Great wearing his Punisher toque, and Ryan, that was Nate's first hunt, right?
Yep, that's the first time he's been out on a hunt.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
And, so there was myself and Sean, Ryan's buddy.
Yeah.
And Ryan didn't bring a gun. He just had Nate there, so Ryan was taking care of Nate.
Yep.
So we only shot a 2-man limit of geese, which is a great morning. So you can see the 10 geese, and then we got a couple of bonus stocks. We did have a earlier flock of ducks that we got none out of because some people couldn't keep in their shooting lane when they were. You know what I mean? But no, that was a wicked hunt. Like, we brought Nate out, we set him up, we had everything. I had extra hand warmers and things like that. We poked him in his boots, we put him in his pockets, and we had snacks and food and everything. And we had ear defenders for him because
Yeah.
he's young and he's like Damien. He protects his hearing.
Yeah.
And doesn't want to end up like Damien.
That's a good call, Nate. I think his dad probably had something to do with that. You don't want to end up like Damien.
Yeah, it was a really good hunt, man. I enjoyed it. I was not expecting to get birds. It was a kind of a traffic hunt. We flagged another field with Sean flagged it with a scarecrow with a guy with a high vis shirt on.
Yeah.
And put that out in the field, and not a bird landed in that field, so that was great. But the thing was, when you flag a field, you're traffic hunting. You're not on the X, right? So we were watching the majority of the birds bypass our field. The majority. Yeah. Right. So we've probably seen 400 or 500 ducks, and they headed off over a cell tower over that way. And probably another 600 or 700 geese did not come towards our field. They went to other fields. But it was a great morning. Like I said, 2 of us limited out on geese. That was all we were going to shoot.
That's awesome.
For geese. And we got a couple of bonus ducks. Normally in the past, like say 10, 12 years ago, or even less time, that would be the reverse. It would be a dozen ducks and a couple of bonus geese if you were lucky.
And all the ducks would have been black ducks.
A good, yeah. At one point, the limit here was 6 black ducks per person. I think it's back down to 4 now, which is still a lot of black ducks. But there's a lot more black ducks down here than there is in Ontario, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to switch it. So I didn't get to get into all the comments because I come home, we were out doing fixing up the farm, the property there for the winter. So I didn't get into the comments too much, but somebody had put a post up on Facebook today. I love these dudes, man, because they're awesome. They just say what's on their fucking mind and then they deal with it, right? So this dude just puts on Facebook and he was like, loving all these new Ontario waterfowl guides out there. And as soon as I seen that, I was like, oh boy, here we go. Yeah. And fellas are chiming in, right? Just keep scrolling. Why don't you have something positive to say and all this stuff, right? And so I'm very torn on this topic, right? Because I see it as though, you know what, there's a dude, maybe he's not fucking working. I don't know what his story is. I don't know what his deal is. Maybe he doesn't have a fucking job, and he's got access to some property and he can take some people out and guide for him and is putting some money in his pocket. I see that side of it and I'm like, good for him. Then on the other side of it, I see the local guys and one fella had made this comment. He was like, listen, I live outside, so down in your area, Mitch, like outside of Hamilton, I live in this area. There's very little agricultural land out there, and trying to get permission on it is hard. And now I got to compete with a guide on top of that. And again, now that's bringing people in that are probably not the most experienced hunters, sky blasting, taking shots that, you know, not having the patience and stuff, and generally screwing it up for everybody, right? But I am kind of torn on it because, listen, like, fucking guys need to make money. Like, they need to put food on their table. They need to pay their fucking bills. Then on the other hand, I see the local guys' side of it, and they're like, listen, like, you're not a guide because you're not paying taxes. You're not paying your taxes. You're not insured. You're not this. You're not that. You know what I mean? So it's a very, I really don't know which side of the fence I'm on this.
So that's
oh,
yeah. You go, Trev, because you know you're probably going to say the exact same thing I'm going to say about Yeah, go ahead.
Stuart, for the sport, you're going to teach the guy taken out to be the right hunters, but not all of them are doing that, right? You're going to have a lot of them sky blasting and just continuing on that problem that we've all had, right? Like, it ruins other people's hunts, yada yada. And I feel bad for the people they're taking out because they're not actually learning how to behave, how to hold yourself, how to ask for permission and do it the right way, right?
Mark, what's your thoughts?
There's reputable outfitters everywhere,
Yep.
right? Everywhere. And I guess as experienced people, you're gonna have people ask, "Hey, can I come hunting with you?" You're like, "Well, I already hunt with a group of guys, and there's a lot of us. There's extra people we always got to bring along." I suggest for your first hunt, maybe you could book an outfitter and try that out. If I can't get you out, you're guaranteed to get out. You're gonna learn a lot, and then recommend a reputable outfitter to them. I've noticed in my time in Ontario, the good outfitters stick around.
Mm-hmm.
The we'll call them sketchier, those with ulterior motives, those kinds like that. They get seen fairly quickly, and word spreads fast. The only ones who end up supporting them are their close friends, and those will come and go.
Yeah.
Right. Or they'll come and go in different names.
Yeah.
Changing their name every couple of years.
Yeah, I hear you.
The reputable ones are the ones that stick around, and as long as the rest of the community supports them, then things will keep going. They don't always go smoothly the best way, but things will sort themselves out over time. Ontario, unlike any other province in Canada, has more pressure on their bird population and more hunting pressure and more competition than any other province. It's nuts. Ontario is for the amount of hunters. There's more birds killed here than out west. Think about that. There's more birds killed in Ontario than Saskatchewan or Alberta. Think
Is
of the
that
birds
right?
passing through Saskatchewan and Alberta.
Is that right, Mark?
Yeah. But just think of the birds passing through Saskatchewan. That's the volume of hunters here compared to out there. Right?
Right.
Wow.
Huh.
So
That's a stat I've never, not a stat, but like that's something I've never heard. I've never heard anybody say. I believe it because I would say it would be good to have somebody from out west on here right now to ask this question, but maybe you guys can give your educated guesses too. But I would think that 80% of the birds that shot out west are probably from Americans that are traveling north of the border that's coming up with guides, right? Because most of the people that live out west, they're too busy fucking working, right? Like they're working the fields. They're not hunting. The last thing they're going to do is sit in the goddamn field that they've been plowing and working every goddamn day. So, yeah, fuck. I never thought about it. But
it's the same concept as in America. It's the same concept as down there. Which state do you think has the most birds killed? It's not one of those ones you see on all these hunting videos.
No.
It's definitely not. It's California.
Yeah.
Like
just because of the
by
sheer
a lot.
volume.
It's not even close. It's California. And who goes to California as a waterfowl destination?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I heard somebody, I don't know if it was recorded on this show or if it was said after when we had stopped recording, but someone had said to me that it's not as easy as a hunt as it used to be down in Arkansas anymore and Louisiana. Like those days of flooded timber and going in and just putting a beat down on greenheads, those days aren't the same anymore.
That was Eric.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I think that was Eric.
Yeah. So things are changing and I want to stop because I want to get back to this guide thing. I really do. I want to get back to this guide thing. And I want to, so here's an opinion and tell me what you think about this. So Canadian hunters, or let's say Ontario hunters, because I don't want to speak for everybody in Canada, but Ontario hunters, they're not going to spend. So you look at a guy like Dave Roy that got St. Lawrence Outfitters going, and Luke Shirters that have Wing Feathers, and there's a couple more really good guides here in Ontario, right? So they have their websites, they have their operation up and running, and they're doing their fucking thing. Now, I can just imagine that every day of the season, those guys get probably 20 or 30 fucking emails a day saying, what's your rates? Right? You with me so far?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know what the rates are, but let's say it's $300 a gun. I would think that's probably around what it is for St. Lawrence or Wing Feathers. I would say $250, $300 a gun per day. Now, because, and this is my opinion, because Ontario hunters do not want to pay the money to go with these, what I call the reputable hunters. Now and I'm not taking anything away from these fellas that are just doing it and trying to put some money in their pocket. I'm not saying that, but if you're charging $150 a gun, vice $250 a gun, does that make it even harder for the reputable guys to keep bringing in clients? Like, am I getting my point across here? Because it seems like I'm not explaining it well enough.
No, I'm hearing it. What you're saying is, if more guys are going to want to pay cheaper to go for that quick hunt than go pay $300 for a reputable guy.
But I guess what but the point that
ahead.
I'm trying to get at is that if you're only going to charge $150 a gun or $100 a gun, then I don't think there's a ton of expectations that can come with that. So if you're a hunter and you're paying $100 a gun, if you don't get any fucking birds, I don't think you have any right to absolutely lose your shit.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No.
But now if you're going to St. Lawrence, let's say, and Dave listens to the show and Josh listens to the show, and I think they would agree with me too. If not, I'll fucking hear about it because they'll send me a message. But if those guys are charging, so let's say St. Lawrence is charging $250 a gun, if they don't get any birds, I think there's a lot more expectation and stress put on those guys as opposed to the $150 gun guide. Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you think, like, if I was to go and pay, like, I'm expecting that guy to be scouting for at least a few days before I'm getting
100%. Like 100%. He's got to be scouting. Yeah.
Let's take Goose Camp, for example. We did.
Yeah.
You guys put on. Logan said what? In 2 days, he filled his tank up on his big trucks 3-4 times. Like, he was scouting, and we shot birds. Like,
that's right.
That's it.
Yeah. No, very good point. Like, if you're paying premium dollar, then you expect that dude to be, or lady, whoever's the guide, whoever's doing it, but you're expecting them to be beating the asphalt and running the county roads to find fucking birds. And you know, I haven't got a ton of experience with guides, but the experience I do have with guides is that it's usually dark before you meet the guides because they're out scouting and they come into the hotel or wherever it is you're staying straight from a scout. And that's when they say, okay, I just seen 400 birds, 500 birds. This is where we're going tomorrow. This is how we're going to set up. I'll meet you here tomorrow. I'm tired. I got to get something to eat. I'll meet you here tomorrow and we'll call her a day there. That's my experience.
I mean, the weekend was a blur, but I think that happened with Logan.
Yeah.
I blinked and the weekend was over. I was a little upset, but I think that's happened with Logan and Savvy. I don't think we met them. Like, we may have quickly met them, Trev and I, on Friday. I think I don't remember. Well, it was more like hey to everyone else, and it was like
it was
Logan
quick because
Logan.
Yeah, no, because the first night, Logan, myself, and Phil, we went to scout. So yeah, it would have been a quick hello. And
Yeah.
then we took off, and it was probably 9:30 before we came back, right? It was dark.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I'm just, Mark, what do you think?
I've seen it in the past where some people, a reputable guide or outfitter will, if there's no birds around, he'll cancel.
Yeah, that's
He'll
another
cancel
good
your
point
hunts,
too.
right?
Yeah,
So,
if he
so
doesn't
there's
have
that, and
birds,
he'll
yeah,
cancel and refund usually, or offer another date.
yeah.
Right?
I see that.
That's what a reputable outfitter does.
see
A
more.
non-reputable outfitter will take you out knowing he has no birds and say, "Oh, the birds were here or something."
Right. I
But they're not
see
here now.
more now. Just because fuck, everybody's got to make a living, right? So the thing I see more often than not now is the guy will say, listen, come back, we'll do another hunt. No refund, but come back, we'll do another hunt. I'll give you another hunt and make it that way, right? As opposed to handing the cash back over or whatever. So good point. A reputable hunter, yeah. Because I remember a couple years ago, Mark, we were going to go down with Dave Roy, and he had said, don't even, we were going down for snows, and he was like, don't even bother. They're not even here. Just save me the headache of trying to have to fucking find them, and save you the headache of spending money and being pissed off because you just spent a pile of money and you didn't shoot any birds. Exactly. Nobody wins in that situation, right?
I mean, it happens out west all the time. Everything freezes up and the birds move out and they just cancel hunts then.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So here I am talking to Daryl Gilbert right now, and I'm like, I want to come out. I want to go out when the lodge shuts down, right? But it's such a gamble because obviously they're a business. They're going to have clients in right till the very last moment, right to the max. And when they're not taking any more clients, it's a gamble then, because you could go out and it's out west, man. Like, it can turn on you like that. It could be a complete freeze up and not a fucking bird around. So you just went out there and there's no birds to hunt. So yeah, it's nuts, man. But I just thought it's a polarizing topic. Fellas get on Facebook and stuff like this, and sure, some fellas probably just do it just to get a kick going and troll them a bit. But I
guarantee you there's a good chunk of the community that can't stand having outfitters around where they hunt.
Oh no, 100%.
You know, that's the mindset on people, right?
Oh, absolutely. and that's a number of things. Well, it's more competition. There's a little bit of jealousy in there. And then there's a little bit of, well, fuck, I can't get a piece of property now because that dude's got it all locked up. Hey, welcome to fucking capitalism. Like, like that's life, dude. Like, if you want the fucking property, like these guides are paying for their property, right? Like, very few are getting these fields out of the kindness of a farmer's heart, right? Especially when the farmer finds out that they're guiding and making money off it, right?
But some people think a card and a box of chocolates is enough, right?
Well, yeah, and that's another. Well, I always give to farmer stuff. What do you give? Well, Christmas, I give them a card and a box of chocolates and a thank you note. It's not really putting any fucking food on the table for them,
Not if you're making money off those fields.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, so when you got fellas paying to lock down a field, do it suck for guys like me? Yeah, sucks for guys like me, but I'm not going to go off. I'm not going to take my ball and go home. That's just the way it is. I could have had the field if I want to pay the money. I just don't want to fucking pay the money.
You don't want to pay the money.
Yeah, like, I just don't want to pay the money, but I'm not gonna fucking chastise or hold a grudge against some dude that's trying to make a living for himself and he's paying for the field. not at all. That's life. If you don't like it, well, you know, I really don't know what to tell you. There's no advice really other than sucks to be you, I guess.
Pay for your fields.
Yeah.
Pay for
Like,
your fields.
Pay for your fields or fuck, I don't know, like put in a little bit. What's that?
A good example is Maryland. Every
Yeah.
piece of property in Maryland is leased.
Yeah.
Or owned by family. It's either leased or owned by family. So every single field, there was no exceptions. Every field down there had a box blind in it, in the middle of the field, and there was a pile of shitty ass. Use the term. There are good silhouettes, and then there were a pile of shitty ass homemade silhouettes around every one down there.
Half radial tires.
Just where you are in Maryland, isn't it?
No,
Sorry?
you cut off at the beginning there, Trev. Say it again, buddy.
Right. Isn't it like a 1 or 2 bird limit in some of those areas in Maryland?
Oh yeah,
It was 2 when I was there, but it's probably
I think
one.
it's down to 1 now. So Jeff Coates was on here a while ago, and because I've often wondered that, right? Like they're on the Atlantic Flyway, so there's got to be a fucking ton of birds that's flying over Maryland, right? But what Jeff Coates explained to me, and Jeff listens to the show, so I'm sure he'll tell me if I get this wrong, but they do their numbers. So Maryland gets its numbers from one area in Quebec. So whatever the hatch, whatever the population is saying for that one area in Quebec, that's what they got. That's what they decide what their bag limit is. Jeff, please, if I totally screwed that up, let me know. And I'll retract that. But I'm pretty sure that's what he said. It all comes from this one area in Quebec, and that is where they base their bag limit off. And I'm pretty
crazy.
And it is crazy because if you think the Atlantic, so like Jesus, Mark, like I would think James Bay, that would come down into the Atlantic Flyway, right?
We talk about all these flyways, but there's so much overlap.
Yeah, that's
what birds are going this way. Birds are going this way.
Well,
birds are going this way.
Yeah,
you know?
Actually, yeah, good point. Because Jeff Coates is in PEI right now, and just this past week they've shot 2 or 3 birds from fucking Greenland, 1 from Denmark and 2 from Greenland.
And these same birds he's going to shoot at when he goes back to Maryland.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
That's crazy.
Yeah. You know, so like I get
that band he posted with Copenhagen. That was crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But then did you see the other goose? That was a tarsal band. It was a tarsal, the neck band and then double leg bands, I think. Like Jesus. Go buy a lottery ticket. You know, awesome. But like I don't know, like these flyways, I get it, right? Like especially for us here in Ontario, because I think like we get the Atlantic, we're in the middle, I think, of the Atlantic and the Mississippi. So like what flyway do we, I don't think we have a flyway that you could say that we're 100% a part of. And then like, look at what's happening here. Like I'm seeing crane now that I never ever seen before. And you're seeing it even more. And like, I was tickled pink when I seen 3 down here, but then some guys are telling me down in Western Ontario, they're about 100s down there.
They're about 100s up around Pembroke.
Up around Pembroke. But then, and then look at the snow geese. Snow geese are continually moving closer and closer and closer. Yeah. So do these I'm not saying scrap the fucking flyways idea, but like you can't bank entirely on the flyways. No. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Not
100%. No.
Hold on. I just got a very important message from Eagle Hawk that I need to answer. and he's just asking me for my social insurance number. That's all.
Oh,
Yeah.
just give it. You won the trip. You won the trip, or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Sounds good.
Oh
Give
no,
him mine.
actually, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
like you're saying about cranes, and Trev and I every summer, usually it's been every late summer, we go up to our buddy's trailer up in close to Noelville, French River, and down that one road we drive down, we see hundreds of cranes, and it's like it's cool to see, like, you know.
Yeah.
But they're starting to make their way, and it's really cool to see.
Oh, now that you brought that up, I think we need to bring this up. Because Brian McCrae, longtime listener of the show and has been on the show a few times. Brian McCrae now is working for Delta Waterfowl as the government. I don't even know what his title is now. It's like the intergovernment coordinator between Delta Waterfowl and the government of Canada and or like Wildlife Canada or whatever fuck handle that is. But now, you know, you get a guy, you get a very educated, smart dude like Brian McCrae in. And we had that Delta guy on before. I forget his name now, and that's shocking that I forget his name. It's just not coming to me.
His official term is Director of Government Affairs for Canada.
Director of Government Affairs for Canada. Wow, that's a heavy title, man. Good for you, Brian, buddy. Proud of you, and can't wait. And just like the text after you posted that you took that job, you need to come on the show now. I really need you to come on the show
Tell us
now.
what your job is.
Yeah, and give us some inside scoops, because and to get back to it, like what you're saying, Mitch, is these cranes. Like, are we going to see a crane season in Ontario?
In my lifetime, I hope so.
Yeah,
I honestly do.
Even if it was one bird.
Well, and I think that's what it would be, right?
That.
I think that's what it would be. It would be one bird. Like, you can't have a fucking, you know,
a 3-man limit.
Yeah,
No,
like,
I
you
would
decimate
sit out
it.
for hours to shoot one. I would sit out hours to shoot one.
I can remember. I remember when we were out west. So Ryan and I went out with some other dudes one time, and when we were in Manitoba, we hunted crane. We shot crane. And then when we got to Saskatchewan, the fellas were going to go do crane hunting again. And I looked at Ryan, I was like, I really don't want to go shoot crane. And he was like, yeah, I really could care less about shooting crane. So him and I went with the guide and scouted that evening while the other fellas went and shot crane. I was like, they've done it. Like, I'm not going to sit down and watch these fucking pterodactyls. Like, you think you can see geese coming from a mile away? Wait till you see these fucking things coming down on you. Like, Jesus, the other time zone you can watch these things flying in at you. Fucking brutal, but they are a fun thing to hunt. And you know what? Maybe it's another thing that, you know, Ontario needs, and maybe Ontario needs a few more species. Maybe the tourism, maybe getting people to come into Ontario to hunt more. With snow geese coming in, you know, in the eastern side of Ontario right now, and then who knows what happens with the crane, and then maybe you start to see more guides showing up and doing these kinds of hunts that's catering to crane, snows. Jesus, wait till, well, I think swans is going to be so difficult because I think there's only one. I think there's one subspecies, right, of the swan that you and to be able to tell the difference between them, it's extremely hard from what I've read. Like, you know, but like I can't tell the difference between them. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not an easy thing. So I think that's the reason why it's probably not going to happen.
How many swans are around Kingston, Daniel?
tons, but there could be 10 different subspecies for all I know. You know what I mean? Like there's a pile of swans around here. And they all look the same to me, but they're probably all different. I have no idea.
I see hundreds going to work. Like,
yeah.
All on above the Skyway. Like I drive over the Skyway over Lake Ontario and Hamilton Harbor, and I see tons. Like I couldn't tell you what they're swans. Like that's
that's what I mean, right? Like swans.
Yeah.
Like and I don't know which one it is you're allowed to shoot down in the States. I think it's the mute that you're allowed to shoot, right? The trumpeter is the one that you can't shoot, I believe.
Yeah.
I think that we have a big migration of them every spring, and they'll actually look like snow geese to a lot of guys. And hopefully not too many are going out. But,
well, there's always that one dude, and I don't know if it's fucking real or if he's in some other place, but there's always that one dude every year is like, look what I got today. And there's this big Jesus fucking swan. Yeah. And then somebody chimes in, goes, you shouldn't have shot that. And then it disappears. So
yeah, the post gets deleted real quick. Well, that's the ongoing joke with Trev, me, and another buddy of ours, and we're sitting on the boat on the river. It's like we see a swan come in, we're just like, oh, snow goose.
Oh, I always call them the rare giant snow goose.
Yeah, and Trev's yelling at us. Trev's always yelling, don't shoot. We know, but we just that's our running joke every time we go out.
Yeah.
Never fails.
Thanks, Trev. Yeah. Anyways, see, I told you, fellas, nothing scripted. We'll be all over the place.
I was hoping Phil was going to be here because I do want to edit what he said last episode about Thor and running that 150 yards. I was there. It was closer to like 250, 300. And I got a picture of it, and Phil's standing there, and Thor is this tiny, tiny little dot in my frame. So it was a distance that dog ran.
Well, I wasn't there. And from what I know of Phil never under exaggerates. Ever.
I know.
Ever. So
I think he was just being humble.
Not in Phil's vocabulary, buddy.
Not about his dog.
Or his boat. or his photography skills. Billy is not a humble dude.
No,
not at all. I'm gonna hear about this too, because Phil, because when he gets on his days off, he puts the show up when he's fucking around at the house. He puts the show up on his TV and watches it. So we'll hear about. We'll all get a message. Well, the three of us, Mark didn't say nothing, but the three of us will get a fucking message for sure.
Oh yeah. Screw you guys.
Big time.
In better terms.
Yeah, no doubt. Boys, we're getting close to that 60-minute mark, so I think we'll call her there and we'll get through the formalities of ending the show, which usually always takes a couple extra minutes. So with that, fellas, thanks again so much for coming on. It was a good time. Like it really was. I really enjoyed having you on. The invite is always there. All you got to do is reach out to us and say, hey, listen, love to come on the show again. Because I'll admit I get tunnel vision sometimes, and I just, the blinders come on and I'm just head down going forward and I don't look side to side. So anytime you want to come back on, reach out and we'll do it again. But we'll go around the table and give each and every one of you a last minute. But again, for anybody that's listening, that's still listening, that hasn't fucking totally zoned us out yet, start making your plans for merch of 2023. Trev and Mitch, Mark was there with us last year when we were down at the Toronto Sportsman Show. The common theme was that there was nothing there for waterfowlers. Dave and I We came up with this idea. We pitched it to the Toronto Sportsman Show. They jumped on board. They think it's a great idea. And if we want to see more and more representation and more content for waterfowlers, we need you to show up. And I know that it's asking you to spend your hard-earned money. And I know you may not really love it, but we need the support. And the only way that we're going to succeed is by each and every one of you coming out and helping us spread the word. So I'll leave it at that. Really hope, and this is only November, so you've got 5 more months of me propping up the Toronto Sportsman Show. So start making your plans for March of 2023, and we'll have a time. The beer first round will be on Trev, so hope to see us all there. Did you see his face when I said that? He was like, "Oh, this is gonna hurt."
Well,
This is gonna hurt.
Damien, I had a pulpers here in the fridge that I was gonna drink tonight, but I don't know if I could do that. It's been sitting in my fridge for months.
Yeah, it'll probably stay there forever.
I tried to pass it out to you, Sam. No one wanted it. No one wanted
this is
it.
horrible. We are huge Letterkenny fans, but that Puppers beer is horrible.
Oh, crap.
Horrible. Sorry, trying to get my cigar going again. So last word to you, or Trev, go for it, buddy.
It's great having me on, guys. I really appreciate it. I've been a long time listener, and I always thought it was kind of cool, and I don't know if I'd actually necessarily want to, but I'm glad I did. And, yeah, we got to get out and get on some birds soon, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think a late season trip down your way is in order. Mark, you're more than welcome, buddy, but I know it's a bit of a jaunt for you.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah. Mitch?
Yeah, same thing as Trev. I've been a long time listener, and I got the message the other day from you, and sitting on the couch with the wife, and I go, I don't know if he's joking or not, and she goes, well, do it,
Yeah.
and so I came on, and I really appreciate the opportunity to come on here, and thanks again. Yeah.
You ain't got to thank me, buddy. You're saving me. You're coming on and being a guest and someone else that we can talk to besides me and Merck, because we'll just talk about Newfie shit. No one will have a word. No one will have an idea what the fuck we're saying or what we're talking about. So you just saved the millions and millions of listeners of listening to 2 Newfoundlanders go off for an hour. Mark?
I'm going to start with for anyone thinking about the Toronto Sportsman Show. It's not technically in like Toronto Metro for anyone who wants to go to this thing. It's kind of between Toronto and Brampton. It's just outside the airport area. It's not that hard to get to. Just take the major highways, get off on a couple little roads, and you're there. There's lots of parking, lots of hotels around, as per in that area. It's not a hard thing to do. Yeah, you got to put a little money aside to go, and once you go in there, you probably want to spend a few bucks. But I don't think, other than gas, when we went last year, Damien, it wasn't. Well, Punisher spent money because I threw out all your stickers to every single person that walked by, and Vortex and Real Geese and those companies helped out as well.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, if you want to, you can spend a couple $1,000s. It's entirely up to yourself. But it wasn't that expensive.
No, it wasn't, and I think if we flooded that show with waterfowlers, just because, and I'm not taking anything else away. I'm not taking anything away from any of the other hunts. But we are very underrepresented, right? Because the deer hunters, the big game hunters, the fishermen, fisherwomen. Is that even a fucking word? Fisherwomen, fisher persons,
fisher person. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, people kind. Like they're in the spotlight, right? The waterfowlers, especially here in Canada and Ontario, we're not in the spotlight. So let's change it. This is our way to sort of kind of kickstart it, and it'll only grow from here, right? So thanks, Mark, for that, because yeah.
Yeah,
And
I go every year. I take the kids. Last year was real quick because my daughter seemed to just want to push the button on the boat, and I couldn't get her off of one of the boats. I had to rip her out. There was screaming, crying, but I just said we're leaving. But hopefully this year will be a little better. But I try to make it an effort to go every year, and I think I've been doing that for the last 6-7 years for sure, minus the 2 years that we didn't get it.
Yeah.
I personally hate cities. I fucking hate them. I've lived in for someone who spent a very large amount of time in cities. I don't like cities, and I didn't mind going to Toronto Sportsman Show. It was definitely tolerable for someone like myself who really doesn't like cities. Just to do it and hang out with friends and stuff and to meet you guys. I remember meeting you, Mitch. Trevor, were you there then too?
Yeah.
Did you pass through? I probably met you then, and
You
I
probably
met a lot
did.
of people that day.
Yeah.
So and I'm terrible with names.
Mhm.
So, but anyway, it's good seeing you guys tonight, man. It was good chatting. It was good to see you here, and I will see you guys again in the future. Who knows? I might make it to the show. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Merck's gonna
Yeah, he
come
will.
to Toronto. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. Yeah, fellas, great show. To anybody that's listening, we are exactly who we say we are. We're not experts. We're a bunch of dudes that just love one another's company. And you know what? You don't have to agree with what we say. It's our opinion, and I guess my opinion, because I'm the one that usually says the shit. But you know what? Write us. If you want to come on and you want to talk about something that we said, if you disagree with what I said, come on. I've got no problem having a healthy conversation with anybody. Fire us a message, jump on and tell me why I'm wrong in what I said, because I'd love to hear it. With that, this is the Union 0430. We are who we say we are. We're not experts, just a bunch of dudes that just love one another's company and hanging out and talking about hunting birds. Until next time, big love. Oh, and for Jeff Coates, thinking of you, we are.